Welcome to Stuck, Time to Improv. I'm Mary Scott with Business Riff, and I want startups to be wildly successful. One of the things a lot of startups need to think about is intellectual property. And today I'm really happy to have Céleste, the Empress of Trademarks. So let's talk about that. Thanks so much for coming, Céleste.
Thank you for inviting me. This is a real delight for me.
Could you please let's start with what is a trademark as opposed to other kinds of intellectual property?
So a trademark is like this is mine. This is also my logo. You can't tell that this is my trademark because you can't see the registration symbol on it because I had this banner created many, many years ago before I even had my trademark registered. And the thing is, you can have, for instance, a logo registered as your trademark. It has to live up to certain criteria, though, to go through that process. And the reason I have an unbroken track record is because I'm not afraid to say no to the ones that are irregistrable or word that I invented a few years ago in a clubhouse conversation.
So, what's the first thing that people need to know about trademarks?
That not everything can or should be registered as trademarks, and that instead of considering it to be an expense, it is actually an investment in the growth and the longevity of their business. So that if they are serious about what it is that they're doing and they have you on board, for instance, then they should definitely consider somewhere along the line securing their trademark. There are also other types of intellectual property, as mentioned before, that can be registered. And especially in the United States of America, I know that it is often encouraged to register copyright items so that in case of a court case, it can be proven that there is ownership of the copyright. So and as I say, the more intellectual property you've got, and I mean the registered kind, the stronger your shield of protection gets.
Okay, what's the difference between the little R in a circle and the TM?
Oh, I love you for asking that question because so many people misunderstand that. You see, the TM is just short for trademark and it doesn't give you any kind of protection whatsoever. And it's I guess that it's because people don't know any better and because they see it and they get confused. So the R in the circle is the registration symbol. So if you look at any of my stuff online, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on the website, you will see that I use the R in the circle because that is the signal, the symbol that signals to the world that I have actually gone through the process myself of registering my own trademarks. So it's really important to understand that there is a massive difference. If you just put the TM on, you don't get any kind of legal protection. When you put the R in the circle on, you're only allowed to do this once somebody like me has done the registration on your behalf.
Okay, so where do people register their trademarks?
They find somebody like me to do it for them because it's really, really complex. You may think that you're able to do it yourself. However, I strongly advise against that because you do not know what the different things that are being asked of the intellectual property officers mean. And in that, you may miss out on something really, really vital to your business. So please don't do that. Don't do it yourself, even though you might be able to. It's not worth the
Mhm.
hassle and it's not worth trying to scrimp and save on a few pennies or dollars. It's better to get a professional to handle it for you.
It sounds like it's just as important to get a professional to do a registered trademark as it is to get a professional to do a patent because it
Yes.
requires a search to make sure that you're not
Yes.
stepping on someone in the first place. One of the things startups often miss in their validating of ideas is seeing who's done this before. Are you actually the first one to have come up with this? And you need to make sure of that, and having a professional help you is highly recommended.
I couldn't agree more with you, Mary, because as you say, people don't know. I mean, a Google search is not going to tell you anything. A Google search will just show you if there are other companies out there that might have the same kind of name. It doesn't show if it's actually a registered trademark or not. Not necessarily. It might do. You can't rely on that. That's why I always start with a strategy session. It is 90 minutes long. And in that, I assess the brand in a really thorough way, as you can imagine, in 90 minutes. Just it's not, I mean, I can really swiftly assess sort of on a high level whether it's registerable or not. However, I need the deep dive to ensure that I have all the information I need. And then after that 90-minute session, I go away and do the trademark searches, as you just mentioned, because the trademark searches are so vital. And having doing a Google search just isn't enough. And getting AI to do stuff isn't enough either. It has to be a real proper search done by a real proper professional.
Sure. So, what sorts of things can be trademarked, or should I ask what sorts of things cannot be trademarked?
It's probably easier to say what cannot. Anything that is generic and anything that is everyday language, it cannot and it should not. I mean, there is one really strange thing that has gone through in America, and I don't know how that happened because it is dev mode. You may have heard of that, and it's just an expression that people use when they're developing IT when they're in development mode. So dev mode is not actually specific to that company that has registered it. It's not anything new. It's not anything that has the distinctive quality of a trademark. So how that got through, I do not know. And I know that they have been trying to uphold it in European countries, and they're not likely to succeed because dev mode is too generic.
So, you can't trademark gasoline, you can't trademark tissues.
No, you were able to register Walkman. That was a trademark. It was just not upheld by the owner. And that's also something that's really important to understand. If you do not uphold your trademark, so that means you can't just register it and then leave it alone. There is a very, very, very narrow opposition window, and that's only 2 months. So if you are not monitoring, you won't be alerted, you won't know what's happening, and people actually do something that is similar to yours, and then and I don't want anyone listening to this to be in that situation because it is so devastating to have somebody else, swoop in and register something that is confusingly similar. That's the issue. If it's confusingly similar to something that's, I mean, there's a reason why Apple and Coca-Cola and the big players out there are so enormously fierce in upholding their brands and their trademarks. It is because they know and understand that if it goes into the public domain, they can no longer make money from it.
Okay, so you're saying that once you've registered your trademark, you need to monitor it for about 2 months to make sure that
No,
nothing
not
else
just
is.
2 months, not just 2 months. You have to continually do it for the rest of its life. There's only a 2 month opposition period. And that
Oh,
is
okay.
if somebody is trying to register something that is confusingly similar to yours, you have a 2 month period in which to react.
Okay.
Nothing more. And
Okay.
that can be the entire lifespan of the trademark. So the reason a trademark is more important, say, than a patent or copyright or design right, is that you can actually make a trademark exist virtually indefinitely. And that is because you can renew it. In most countries, it's every 10 years. In America, you have to put forth proof of usage, though. And
Mhm.
then in Canada, it's every 15 years. So the Canadians are more generous. They allow you a longer period before you need to renew.
Okay. Well, this is fascinating, and I'm sure I have more questions, but we're out of time. Thank you so much, Celeste, the Empress of Trademarks. We'll put some contact information into comments so people can follow up and find out more and find out when your new book is coming out. Thanks
Thank you
again.
so and thank you
And
so much for having me. It's been a
and
pleasure.
and I'm Mary Scott with Business Riff. I want startups to be wildly successful. And one of the best things you can do to accomplish that is book a call with me at businessriff.com. And join us again next time for Stuck, Time to Improv.